So I've been playing through Ruin, and I'm pretty confident that with time we'll be able to fill in a lot of the blanks related to the Mimic and the PizzaPlex as a whole. But one thing that still stands out to me is one of the endings, the Scooper ending, and the question of why Fazbear Entertainment was keeping a working and active Scooper under the PizzaPlex. So for those who don't know, it's likely that the canon Ruin ending is the elevator ending. That means that although we probably won't continue on from the Scooper ending, it was included for a reason, and maybe that reason was for Steel Will to reveal the important information that there is a scooping room on the premises. Now, just to clarify, this is definitely a scooper considering the ending is actually called that. I've seen some people say that it looks far too different to actually be a scooper, but hey, things change with time, and I also have a theory as to why the look of it has changed so drastically. So let me dive into that first. Why the look? In Sister Location it looks like a big spoon, but in Ruin it's more like a claw injector. We find out in Pizza Sim that Henry spent lots of time discovering everything that William Afton had been doing throughout the years. From the Funtime animatronic blueprints to his experiments with Remnant, the scooper was certainly in there somewhere, so he had some sort of knowledge of it. And considering that this room, and most of Ruin, takes place inside of the building that he burned down in Pizza Sim, what if this scooper was one that he created? Maybe if the fire plan had failed, he could have lured them all into this nearby room, not caught by the main cameras, and end them all by scooping them one by one. Probably not the best plan, which is why it was kept as a backup, but certainly a plausible one. I don't believe that he used it as a backup option though, but rather as part of his main plan. I believe that he somehow used it to harvest Remnant, although the details of this harvesting I'm not entirely sure, to test if the fire would work. We know that the blueprints, which he had access to, reveals that overheating can neutralize the effects of Remnant, so he may have tested this theory before going through with burning the place to the ground. If that's not the theory for you, then I've got more that could explain it, although this one focuses more on the Retcon Angle. Some people theorise that the Sister Location bunker and Fredbear's / pizza place are all connected. The breaker room map from Sister Location indicates this, but I'm not entirely sure I buy into it, but I kinda want to, just because it's funny to think that Fazbear Entertainment are so short-strapped for land that they just kept putting buildings on top of each other. But I can see both sides, that's just my funny thought for the day. But back to what I was saying, there is a chance that this scooping room is the same one that we see at the end of Sister Location. They do look quite similar, glass windows, scooper in the middle, but the glaring error here is how different the scooper looks. I'm not sure I want to write this off as just a simple retcon, because I believe that's far too big of a change for Steel Will and even Scott to justify. There is of course a chance though, and that would confirm the theory that all these buildings are in fact connected to one another. It would also explain why the blob has so many Funtime animatronic parts, because they were left over in Circus Babies, ready to be used for other purposes. There's also the possibility that the scooper was being used by Fazbear Entertainment for some reason. Maybe they were the ones harvesting Remnant. Their logo was found near the scooping room, indicating that they have been down there, and although you could brush this off as a coincidence, we know quite well by now how much Steel Will love their environmental storytelling. And after all, some people think that this is what powers the Glamrock animatronics, so if that is the case, then they'd clearly need to get it from somewhere. Plus, would it really come as a shock if Fazbear Entertainment, out of all people, were experimenting with an unknown, possibly dangerous substance? I mean, they are the ones who made in-universe games about murders that happened at their pizzerias, and included a warning in said recreation stating that they aren't responsible for digital consciousness transference. It's not really a stretch to say that they're willing to go a bit under the radar and shady if it speeds things up. Plus, that's not even taking into consideration the fact that the Glamrocks are sentient. We still don't really know the ins and outs of Remnant, so what if complete independent sentience is one of the effects? And of course, if any of this is true, then we have to think about the effect that this will have on the Mimic going forward, if this ending proves to be canon in any way. There is evidence to suggest that Mimic is not dead in this ending, as he is missing from inside of the suit. This indicates that after he was scooped out, he got away, as he is nowhere in the vicinity either. But what if not only did he escape, but he has also been turned into a far more dangerous version of himself, possibly because of remnant remains on the scooper? That's a terrifying thought because of how well, terrifying he already is, but depending on what you believe, we may need to consider the possibility. Of course, it could have also been built by Vanny, but considering she's likely gone, I'd sway more towards the other options. What reasons she could have had for building a scooper is unknown, but considering she pretty much meets the definition of psychopath, the reasons were certainly murderous. So now that I've presented all of those options, which one do I think is the most plausible? I'd probably go for the Fazbear Entertainment angle. Listen, I'm confident that the next era of FNAF will dive into the history of Fazbear Entertainment as a company and as a brand, and I feel like them having something to do with the skipper and the skipping room, and possibly even remnant harvesting, could be a great decision to go in with the story. It's clear already that it's a morally ambiguous company, so for them to partake in some shady experiments using the blueprints fought up by their murderous CEO would be crazy, but not out of the realm of possibility for this franchise after some of the stuff we've been through. I think that William is done as an antagonist. Although there are still some loose ends, and if we do get a full fest game, then I think he'll be a big part of it. I think that going forward, as in past Ruin in the timeline, he will not be a part of it. I'm convinced that Mimic, Burn Trap and Glitch Trap are one and the same, so I think that the Mimic has been the villain of the Steel Wheel era all along. That's a theory for another day, I suppose, but I think that what we're about to get into with the FNAF lore is going to be incredibly interesting, and that we're going to see, for the first time really, how far Fazbear Entertainment are willing to go to keep their brand the best it can be in the public eye. But that's just my take on it, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for helping me to get to 100 subscribers. Much more to come hopefully, so I hope that you will join me on the journey. But anyways, I'll see you next time.